Welcome back to another episode of Wild Sports. I'm Foo. Got my boy Sean here with me. And we're going to be doing a little review preview. We're just going to do the Georgia Bulldogs on this one. So we're going to go into the review of Georgia. Georgia played Missouri. The final being 30-21 Georgia. And scores, we were pretty close on them. I had 34-24, so I was all over it. And then you had 38-26.
I was pretty far off. I'm not going to give myself credit.
I mean, not crazy.
It was a touchdown
off.
and 5 points. Yeah, I guess not.
I mean, I was only 4-3, so I was pretty much all over it.
Yeah, so that means Missouri covered the plus 14.5, and they were under the 55.5.
Yeah, it was I mean, what a great football game.
That it was, man.
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I got to watch the whole thing. I'll go ahead and let you start out being the Bulldog. What was your take on the game?
Like I said in the preview last week, thank goodness this was being played in Athens.
Yeah,
even though the officiating was acting like it wasn't in Athens, and I'm never one to blame officiating or knock on them too much. But when you allow physicality for one defense and not allow the other defense the same amount of physicality, especially on like receivers, it's just not a good look. Another thing that was so just irritating was Missouri got a pass interference call. It was 50-50. I'm okay with 50-50 calls going either way. That's just, I mean, they're 50-50 calls half the time anyway. But once they got that one call, every single jump ball, every single closely contested pass, every single coach on the sideline was asking for a flag every single time. I was like, dude, y'all just chill out. Let the refs do their thing. You're not going to get a call every time. Another thing was, Missouri runs the Kyle Shanahan, that bitch, Kyle Shanahan. I can't stand him. Cost me a Super Bowl, okay?
You really don't like him.
I mean, Missouri's offense is everything we thought it was going to be. Very balanced attack. They run the Kyle Shanahan zone blocking scheme. And in that scheme, the running back really needs to have good vision and know when to cut and know when to take the yards he can get. Not every play is going to be a home run, and he did that very well. There was holding on and there's holding on every play. I completely understand that, but I saw the left tackle hold on almost every single play that was ran his way. I think it was called one time, but you don't see people going like this on the Georgia sideline every running play. And I'm pretty sure that Coach Eli, can't remember his last name right now.
Drinkwitz.
Thank you.
Drinkwitz, whatever. Came
out and apologized for some of the language he was using and how he was acting on the sideline and how his coaching staff was acting on the sideline. So a lot of respect for him doing that, even though I'm sure he had to do it to save face. Their wide receiver core is top 4 in the SEC without a doubt, in my opinion. I will say that it seemed that every single passing play they were attempting, especially in the second half, was either a back shoulder pass or a deep ball. They kind of got away from running, standard plays, which they were actually doing pretty well with. On UGA's side of offense, both running backs ran the ball very efficiently, about 5 yards per carry each. Carson had another very solid day, and he protected the football, which is what you need to do in big games like this. I think that a little bit gamesmanship was made, sure that they did when they let Dominic Lovett score the first touchdown of the day. Dominic Lovett being the Mizzou transfer. All in all, very solid game, very solid performance. I'm so happy that we played Missouri before Ole Miss because I think it gave us a look into a better way to stop a mobile quarterback, and that's exactly what Jackson Dart is. So before we go into the preview, I'll let you finish the Mizzou stuff.
First of all, I watched it, almost all the way through until Missouri threw the interception down with probably about 6-7 minutes left. Yeah, first off, Carson Beck, I think he's not talked about enough. Just super efficient, 21 of 32 for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Very efficient. Ladd made some big plays. Ladd McConkey's finally getting in the mix there. But props to Missouri. I think they played a great football game. That running back, I was very impressed with their running back. Ran the ball really well, ran it hard. Like you said, took what the defense gave him. Overall was very impressed with, Missouri. I know I predicted a pretty close game, I guess, per the spread, but always kind of in the back of my mind thinking Georgia's just going to kind of run away with it, but Missouri hung in there. Georgia played great defense, really limited, the quarterback and what he was able to do for Missouri. Brady Cook, he was all right. He didn't play great. Obviously had a chance to go down with the 6 or 7 minutes left and take a lead in Athens and just threw a terrible interception. So that's what's going to stick out. But props to Georgia's defense.
Is that the one where they had the 65-yard penalty?
The 65-yard penalty.
Where the
I don't know why you're really hung up on these penalties.
The defensive tackle took it to the 5-yard line, and then they brought it all the way back to the other 30.
I walked out as soon as
I saw.
I saw the interception, and I was watching it in a cigar shop in Tuscaloosa before going to the game, and then as soon as he threw that interception, the guy took off running. We were like, it was like an hour until kickoff, so we were like, all right, let's roll. So we left. Yeah. So I didn't see that, but I watched it, and of course, I don't get hung up on the penalties as much,
right?
And just looking at I saw penalties to me that could have been called either way. Mm-hmm. But Missouri even had more penalties than Georgia. 3 more penalties than Georgia. So, I see what you're saying. I get it.
It was the severity of the penalties.
It's hard to, not get frustrated with them. But, look, Georgia did, it was going to be a tough football game. They pulled it out. They did what they had to do, survive and advance to the next week. But props to the defense. I think Georgia's defense, was pretty stingy the whole game. Didn't really, gave up a little bit, but didn't get on their heels very much. So, props to the Georgia's defense for pulling that one out. But
this might be the only compliment I give the playoff committee, but the fact that I think either Mizzou completely stayed where they were or they only dropped a spot.
Yeah.
That's great. That's probably the one thing they got right.
Yeah. And then obviously the key to the game, turnover margin, Georgia 0, Missouri 2. Yep. That's the difference. The difference in the game. I know one of them was late, I think. But the key intercept, y'all had the key play. Missouri was driving on y'all. I think they had it down inside y'all's territory.
Yeah, it was inside the 50. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was just on the other side of the 50. So they had a little momentum going, and made the play. So that's what it's about. You got to make the big play. So Georgia was able to do that, but. Again, I agree with you. I think a great matchup for Georgia going into Ole Miss because I think you're about to see a very similar football team to what they just saw. Very, very maybe a little better quarterback play, but very similar. So moving into this week, Georgia Ole Miss, 6:00 Central, 7 Eastern, ESPN, no CBS. ESPN nighttime game between the hedges.
You don't get many of those.
Yeah, minus 10.5. The Bulldogs are favored.
Over under a 58.5.
58.5. Okay.
To be honest with you, I have a lot of comfort in the fact that we just got off this game with Missouri. And I hate to use the exact verbiage that you just said, but there are a lot of similarities between these two offenses.
Yep.
Mobile playmaking QB with upside passing ability, great running back, great receivers. I would give the edge to Lane in the offensive mind in comparison to the offensive coordinator, play caller at Missouri. There's one key thing about this game, and it's so simple, and no one else knows it except for like 3 other people. I'm going to be in attendance at this game.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Look at Sean making it to the hedges.
And I have an awful record when I'm in attendance.
Oh, come on, man.
Games.
You don't determine the outcome of the game.
I don't,
so
but me being there
it.
has some bad juju. As a matter of fact, I went last year to the Tennessee game, bought some fake tickets for $400 a piece, me and little Banks Hickman. And if I have a feeling if we ever got in that stadium, it would be flipped.
That's God doing for you what you can't do for yourself.
Hey,
man.
I paid $400 for a second title. I did my part.
Hey, I'll take that any day.
I'm very grateful for the tickets, and I can't wait to be there. I don't really have too many things to say about the game going into it because I feel like we're talking about the same team as last week. Stay clean on the turnovers, bend, don't break defensively. Try to get after the QB, but also it took Georgia for Brady Cook to run a couple times for first downs for them to dedicate a spy to him. Like I said in the review of the last game, I'm so glad we played Missouri prior to this game because now we know, we might need a spy right off rip.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's offense does the same thing as last week. Looks solid. I think as long as we can protect Beck, I don't see an issue. The only issue I see, I'm in attendance.
Well, you don't determine it. I have to tell myself that all the time.
I understand that, but I am starting.
Word on the street.
You want to hear my track record? Let's do this just real quick.
I know one of them.
You know 2 of them, right?
Did you go to 2 games with me?
Well, we definitely went to 1. I'll just go with 1 for right now.
The Jalen Hurts comeback game.
Correct. I went to the LSU SEC championship game.
Ooh, that was bad. But come on, dude, that was like one of the best teams ever.
I went to the Georgia Tech game that Kirby's first season. I went to a Georgia-Colorado home game. Way back when.
Pre-prime time.
So.
Oh, well.
I don't have a lot of...
Have you ever seen a Georgia win?
Yeah, I went to the Georgia-Auburn blackout.
Did you go to the Alabama-Georgia blackout?
Someone did.
I was there.
We're not bringing negativity. No negativity.
I was just asking. All right. Well, positive note. I saw a report that Brock Bowers is practicing this week.
He's running at 21 miles an hour already.
I hear that there is a good shot that he could play this week.
I will make one note on that, and then I'll let you finish. If you're not 100% yet, do not come back. That's it.
Well, just that little carrot dangling out there that Bowers could be playing, and that could be a big thing. I'm with you. Ole Miss, I think, is a very well-rounded team. I saw a stat. I think offensively they're probably they're just as good as anybody in the SEC probably. And with Lane Kiffin calling plays, I think he is one of the best, if not the best, offensive mind in college football. Very well, but I saw a stat is crazy. I saw that like on their 2 deep chart on defense, they had 16 transfers this year. So 16 out of 22 of their defenders are transfers in the transfer portal. So I think this defense is steadily getting better. Even though they have Pete Golding as their defensive coordinator who used to be at Alabama. But they're actually starting to do a lot better defensively. So, I think I'm starting to see that. A couple big keys, and you mentioned it, talking about protecting back. I think that's going to be a key. Ole Miss is second in the SEC in QB sacks. So I think that's going to be a battle to watch. They're also second in the SEC in forced turnovers, so that's a key in the turnover battle. But they give up, they're 11th in opponents' total yards per game. So they're sixth in points per game. So it's kind of looks like I think it's a team that's, like I said, is getting better on the defensive side. While Georgia ranks first in points per game and total yards per game. So there's that stingy defense. Now Georgia is 11th in sacks in the SEC. So,
yeah, they don't pressure they pressure the QB. They just don't get to him.
And I think that's going to be a key. I think you got to get to Jackson Dart and you got to rattle him, because I think if you let him sit back, you've got to at least get the pressures. It doesn't have to be the sacks like you say, but don't allow Jackson Dart just to run freely around, force those turnovers. And I think you just got to, I think Lane Kiffin's got to find that, because he tends, I've seen in some games, to get like a little too crazy, like he did against Alabama at the popcorn game. Get your popcorn ready, and he was going for it on fourth down like the first 3 times they went, and they were 21-0, and so he's got to find that good. If they want, I think Ole Miss has to play a flawless game to beat Georgia. I think they've got to play a flawless game to go into Athens and pull an upset. And I think Georgia just has to play I think you're going to have to force turnovers. You're going to have to get back off his game. You're going to have to do a whole lot of stuff to pull that upset. But going into that, predictions, I've got Georgia 30, Ole Miss 23. So I got Georgia winning by a touchdown. I think it's going to be very similar to last week.
Let you know right now, this place better be rocking.
I think it will be.
I think that's going to be also a key factor. I meant to mention that as well. I think the crowd's going to be insane, kind of like last year's Tennessee game. I really think that's what the crowd's going to be like. My prediction is it's extremely similar to yours. I got Georgia 34, and Ole Miss 24. So we both have Ole Miss covering the spread, and we both have the under of this game. I'm surprised. When I said 58.5, were you not a little like?
I don't know. I think
what I just realized? I'm a half a point under the spread and a half a point under the under. I'm disgusting. I'm Vegas.
Good for you.
I'm Vegas.
I didn't check the over under, but I did see the spread, and I went. I think it's going to be very similar to last week. Again, I could also see Georgia just stomping them.
That's what
I think it could happen. But
we'll still be ranked number 2, though.
Yeah, probably, because
idiots don't know they're idiots.
That's right. But I think we see a good game. So that's your preview of the Georgia Bulldogs.
Time to break the curse.
Oh, and it could a win this week and a win up there in Kentucky sets the rematch for Atlanta. That's going to be a fun little discussion. That'll be a preview weekend. Just one talk. Oh, give the people what they want. A little Alabama Georgia talk.
Might have to invite Hickey on that one.
Oh, what are you going to team up against me?
Just get Spencer.
You can't bring Hickey. Hickey's an Auburn fan.
Just get Spencer.
I would have liked to have brought Brian on here to talk about the Georgia-Missouri game, but he didn't see it because he was watching. He was at Vanderbilt Auburn. So we can't do that.
So that's our video.
So that's it. Like, comment, subscribe. What do you think about the Bulldogs? Till next week. Peace.